So I was going to do this with my cell phone, but it's on the fritz today. I have purchased the Nomad tank number 12, specifically to fit the Africa Twin CRF 1000L. My particular model here is a 2017. I think this is a good option for those of us who need that extra. I don't know about most people. My bike goes about 200 miles on a full tank of gas. This is 8.5 liters. Should get me to 320 miles on a full tank of gas. I'm going to test that out. Anyway, I hate when people are really long-winded in their YouTube videos, so I'm going to skip straight to it. I have already removed the rear seat and test fitted the Nomad to make sure that it is going to work with my rear trunk. As you can see, it does here. So to remove the seat, you will need to grab your key, put your key into here, turn it, it will release the main seat. You pull that out. There will be two screws, 10mm right here and right here. You will need to remove those. All right, I'm going to move forward and I will record what has been done as I go through it. All right, folks, here's what comes in your package aside from the tank itself. A few extra hoses, I think, for quick disconnect and your mounting hardware. The directions say remove the main pillion seat, which was already done. You need to lift the main fuel tank to put the fuel delivery hoses to the breather outlet on the underside, remove the plastic cover in the front of the fuel filter cap. Fuel filler cap. So fuel filler cap, I think he is discussing this piece right here. There appears to be 4 bolts to remove it. We'll start there. Okay, so we've removed that piece. It was 4 5mm Allen head screws. Now, when you're taking this apart, this piece is interlocked. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt to get undone. Just be patient, pry slowly, don't yank. The next thing that is noted on the directions is I need to remove this, and there appears to have been a pin down here that is now missing. So if you don't know how to remove those, you get a tool that pokes. Screwdriver's fine. One of these, I just have a poking tool, and you press into the thing and it will come right out. Okay, the next piece of the directions is very difficult to understand. Pop the 3 rubber mounts on the rear side of the fairings as in picture 2. I spent quite a bit of time looking back here at my rear fairing trying to figure out what he was talking about, and the directions, at least in mine, are in the wrong order. So what happens is you've got this plastic strip that goes from here to here. Again, 5mm Allen head screws. They come off pretty simply, and then there are 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Things that pop out off of your gas tank, and then you just kind of pull that back. So I'm going to continue on and do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, so side strips are removed. You'll notice now that I've got the bike up just because I'm doing so much moving around. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, or have never seen it. I love mine. It's a Harbor Freight and Tool motorcycle lift. Just an insane amount of stability for what we're doing here, and it just gets my bike up where I don't have to fiddle with it nearly as much. I think it was like $130 from Harbor Freight and Tool. Anyway, we've removed that. The directions now say I need to remove this piece right here. just like I did before. And then there's two 10mm bolts on either side of the seat catch that I will need to remove. All right, quick little note here. If you'll notice, I've got an extension on my 10mm. I actually came at the bolt from this direction, and the reason is just break the bolt loose with your ratchet real quick. Once you've got the bolt broken loose with the ratchet, you can just turn this. My recommendation is to hold your finger on that little 10mm bolt as you unscrew it, therefore you don't lose it down in this mess and then have to fish it back out. Okay, and good morning. As you might notice, today is a different day than when I started recording. My wife wanted to spend some time, quality time with me, so could not refuse that because she allows me so much time to tinker with my motorcycles. Alright, in the directions, the next thing you see is you will need to remove the plastic tray. It has 4 clips. It's a bit tricky. The interesting thing is the directions say plastic tray behind the tank. So in the directions he's saying behind the tank. And then you look in here and there's a garb of just a ton of wires. This guy right here clips in right here. You just take a simple screwdriver, flat tip screwdriver, push this tab right here in, and this comes right out, no problem. This just sits in this tray but is attached over here. This is still attached over here, but same principle with this. You stick your screwdriver down in this little hole right here and this piece comes out. Same with this side over here. Stick it down in this little hole, this piece comes out. He is saying that this piece right here is a little tricky. I'm going to try to press on that little tab right there and see if I can get that to come out, and we'll restart. So I was right. Very difficult to understand from the directions given. As you can see, the red clip is unclipped, and you're not actually trying to get the clip to unclip from up here. You're trying to get the clip to unclip from under here, which was actually very easy once I understood what I was trying to unclip. You just stick the screwdriver down in there, press that down, and it came right off. What I had to do was I had to remove this piece first. So I popped the 4 little plastic tab holders. It was sitting in here just like so, with all this stuff connected to it. And the plastic tab holders were right here, right here, right here, and right here. And then you can see one of my plastic tabs is sitting down right there. I would highly recommend that you have extras of these on hands before you start doing this kind of work, because you will lose some. I've already lost 2. Fortunately, I have some in my spare kit. So yeah, so that looks very much a big pain in the butt. The directions aren't particularly good. For me, the thing that worked well was getting this disconnected and these 2 disconnected, and then popping the 4 rivets here, plastic rivets here, and then picking it up, and that way you've got a good way to get at this tab underneath this red connector. Okay, moving forward on the bike, it says to remove this 10mm bolt, and then it says to slowly work the tank back from the rubber mounts. Now, if you've ever worked on a motorcycle, generally probably what he's talking about is there's probably some rubber mounts that you can't see under here, and as you work the tank back, there's like clips that engage those, and as you work the tank back, it comes off of those, and that will be able, at that point we'll be able to kind of lift the tank up and be able to see all of this other stuff that we're going to need to install under here. But first, we're going to need to remove this 10mm bolt. Pro tip here, remember those little clips, little plastic rivets I was talking about. Some of them little boogers can be very hard, they slip down in, and I highly recommend keeping in your toolbox a pair of tweezers. These are not magnetic, and so if you've got one of those little magnetic reaching tools, they're not going to be effective at pulling that out. So I highly recommend a good pair of tweezers, and that way you can reach those tiny little plastic parts that slip down in weird places. That was easy enough, folks. Just like the directions said, there is two rubber mounts right here. These rubber mounts link up with these and squeeze up in here. As soon as I removed that 10mm bolt, picked up on the gas tank a little bit, the gas tank immediately was able to come off to the rear, and now we have our top of our engine. If any of you have ever kind of wondered, gee whiz, what's underneath all of that, which kind of makes me wonder how this bike ever won any competitions at rally, because it's very difficult to get apart on the fly. Kind of want you to be able to see what's going on here, because it's not super clear in the directions. So this is our breather hose extension. It's got this nice, really stiff tip with the old-fashioned clamp on it. Now, that in the directions that are supplied with this thing, you see this piece right here. It took me a second to figure out where exactly the camera angle was, but you see this piece right here, and then this is the breather tube that you're going to be putting the breather extension on. And then in the picture, he has this disconnected. So I don't really know why, but that's in the picture. This piece is disconnected. This is the breather hose that we will be replacing. Now it says, because this is stiff, I'm going to have to go inside and heat this up like pretty warm, or heat it with a heat gun to get it on this piece. So that's the next step, folks. Alright, so I went over this like 5 or 6 times, because the interesting thing is once you've disconnected this line goes here and down through here and comes back. If you shake it, it comes out right here. There's no further directions provided for what to do with that line. I'm assuming that it's not like something important for vacuum, which is kind of bothering me. I know I've got this hooked. I've double checked the diagrams that this is in fact the line that I'm supposed to hook this to. A matter of fact, it even loosened up running this under hot water and getting it nice and soft, and you know, kind of putting some friction to it with a pair of needle nose pliers, stuffed down the hose and moved it around. It will not get over this. So I know we're in the right location. I'm going to need to route this. Probably going to go right here under this piece, come up in the air box, or come up in that box, so that I can quick connect, disconnect. But I'm still trying to figure out what to do with this spare air hose, and I'm thinking that the answer to that question is nothing. It probably goes down to and routes and goes back into the fuel tank somehow, but I don't think it's vacuum, and there's no further mention of it in the directions. So we finally figured it out. Okay, so he supplies a second hose with the set, and I was trying to figure out in the last installment where this hose goes to. So what's going to happen is this is completely missing from the directions, so it can be rather confusing. So I will be hooking this up to this hose, and then rounding this hose under here, so that the when the tank is uninstalled, it can go back and resume its actual normal function. Okay, so we got the tank reinstalled. We got to start putting this stuff back together the same way that we took it apart. Push this in, put the clips on, just reverse order the way you took this stuff off. You should be just fine, and then we'll start putting the tray together. And then once we start putting the tray together, then we can look at this, how this breather works to route down into here, so that you have good gas coming into the thing. This is going to be interesting because it doesn't feel like that line's quite long enough, but we'll see here in a minute. So I want to review real quick, because getting this tray in was no small, easy task. And it required quite a bit of force, like concerning amount of force. But it went in without issue. It bent into its spot. I've got it back where it belongs. I took several attempts, and I want to save you some time. So the easiest way is to pull all this stuff up out of your way, and then go put the tray in this way, forcing this stuff up on this side and keeping your lines free on this side. And then once you have that, then you can push down on this side, and it does take some force to get it down in there. Sorry, also wanted to cover for novices who are not aware of how this works. When you're reinstalling these pins, it is best to, like we said, you push it forward with an aug. You push it forward so you can pull it out. Well, to put it back in, you actually push this up and back out like this, and then you get it seated, and then you push this flush, and that's how you reinstall it. So if you'll see, I have dropped the bolt. Again, keeping in mind that this is one of those times when it's a really good idea to have tweezers. It's also a good idea to maybe have a magnetic tip on your extension. Don't get in a hurry. Note that I'm making a bunch of short, choppy little videos. However, I think it's important you remember to put this piece back in its cradle, and don't tighten these bolts down until you've got both of them seated. I see there is potential for cross-threading. So if you remember, when we were taking this little plastic piece here apart, there are these little rivets that go in it. This video is not produced by anybody other than me. That's why it's so crappy, and the production quality is so low. However, Tusk sells these specifically for your Africa Twin, and it's a really good idea. As you can see, I have a number of these just laying around. They get broken, they get lost, they fall down and stuff, and I believe that one of the ways to tell the difference between a good mechanic that's not shade tree in it and a mechanic that is thorough is how often that mechanic has parts left over. With that said, you need to occasionally check your bench. This piece was still sitting over here on my toolbox, and if I had to put it all together, I'd have probably been forever trying to figure out where that stupid little piece went. But just some keeping track and good habits for when you're turning wrenches. One quick notification that I wanted to point out as I was putting the bike back together. If you'll notice, this machine screw and this machine screw are different. So this fat boy right here, he goes where the bike goes into the frame, and then this little fella right here goes in those spots where they've put a clip over a piece of bodywork. Small details, but details matter. Otherwise your bike's gonna end up looking like a pile of crap and not working. Okay, now we can continue. Now that we got our gas tank back on, directions say remove the two 8mm bolts and replace with the supplied bracket and bolts shown in figure 9. So these are not 8mm bolts, they're 12mm bolts, but when you look at the picture and you look at the thing, you can tell that's clearly what he wants you to remove. And then you've got this bracket with these two machine screws, and this, which I'm assuming is to permanently attach the gas tank here to this attachment. So we're going to do that real quick. Okay, don't know what happened there. So we got the brackets installed. No big deal here, very easy. You got these installed by the direction, short end against the tank, 4mm Allen head, 4mm Allen head screws, 5mm Allen head screws. Now I'm going to test fit my original pillion seat because I'm supposed to be able to run the bike with just the original seat. Then I'm going to test fit this with the original seat and install everything and just get an idea of how it looks. I will not probably be able to test ride this today, but we'll upload when I do. As we can see, it goes back together the original way without modification.